Welcome, Geminis. I am Wondernanda, and this is Let It Be Tarot. Today is Christmas Day. Merry Christmas. I hope that you may feel gratitude for all that you have. That you may be enjoying the gifts of gratitude. My cat is trying to dig something to play with, so you might hear her. Okay, let's open the reading with some keywords from the Ho'oponopono prayer. I love you for who you are. I'm sorry for painful memories we may share with each other. Please forgive me if I, my relatives, or ancestors have offended you, your relatives, or ancestors. I thank you for uniting my path with yours, for our contributions to the healing of this earth. So, although these readings that I'm doing now are still drawing on the energies of Sagittarius season, they are timeless because time is fluid. But we've officially, because we have closed the Sag cycle officially, most likely we are still under a lot of what that new moon in Sagittarius and full moon in Gemini talk about, where in the latter we are setting new intentions and goals and expanding possibilities. I mean, the former, right? The new moon in Sag talks about the setting of goals. The season of Sag, I believe, talks about seeing new possibilities and deciding on new objectives. And the full moon in Gemini talks about releasing, letting go, conversations, perhaps having had conversations about things that needed to come up, certain talks that may have helped close some cycles, some exchanges, as we now have entered the season of Capricorn. General energy for this reading is what we are drawing now. Three of Cups. Okay. Three of Cups and the Five of Pentacles. Very interesting, because the Three of Cups talks about coming together, talks about communion, talks about friendships, coming together with friends, reuniting, companionship. It's very much a Gemini energy. There's an exchange of feelings. Yeah, these are our close friends. I like to think of it that way. It's not just any gathering. These are people who, your tribe, like who you can open your heart with, or wear your heart on your sleeve. It is the Three of Cups after all. At the same time, we have the Five of Pentacles, which so many talk about as representing being left out in the cold, being left out, feeling, God, my nose is clogged, feeling rejected. Five is in the middle of the, the 1 and the 10, obviously, right? And tarot suits go from 1 to 10, so being in the middle there, it denotes conflict. Sometimes conflict of power struggles. And the Pentacles, being a card of physicality, the material world, there's a conflict of, oh, my cat wants to put her paw in the flame. She keeps doing that. I guess she hasn't learned from, putting your hand not on the stove but on the candle here and getting burned from it. I guess I'll have to allow her to learn that. Wondering how that may be relevant to the reading. Since I believe there are no coincidences, it's nice to watch her, have her keep us company here. Talk about, there she goes. Ooh. Talk about hanging out with your tribe and who you feel comfortable with. My cats are one of my tribes for sure. Definitely a chosen one. So yeah, the 5 is conflicting. And so it may denote need, actual need. Yeah, financially, in the home life. As far as work goes. But can be an emotional need here too. Or lack. Let's see. There she goes. I'll try to show you. See if you can be another witness to my cat putting her paw in the fire. Oh, that almost came out. Maybe it did come out. The Fool. The Fool, very first card of the deck. 0. The Fool is very Gemini. Yeah. Or can be. There's a lightness. See? Can you see her? Oh my God, I don't want to allow her to do that, but I guess how is she going to learn? Kitty cat, you're going to get burned. Durga, you're going to get burned. There's a lightness to the Fool. He doesn't carry much with him in his sack. this woman here standing on the tail of an upside down alligator. Where she might be picking a rose from, or receive a rose he is offering her. So there's a playfulness. With the other hand, she's holding a bird. It's springtime. So yeah, maybe this alligator could be a parallel image to that cliff that the fool is standing on, and is just about ready to you know, to jump and take a plunge. You know, she certainly is playing with fire. Wow, look at that! Isn't that interesting? You know, she's certainly playing with fire in a way here. Stepping up on that alligator tail. You know, she's willing to take a risk. Ace of Swords, cutting through. I like to think of the Ace of Swords as cutting through the bullshit. Well, I guess that is what the Ace of Swords talks about. That's just the way I like to, the phrase I like to use for it. Seven of Pentacles and the King of Cups. All right. Very good. Okay. So here we have the Seven of Pentacles under the Five of Pentacles. So maybe the Five, which talks about need and lack or conflict. It can be an inner conflict, right? The original Rider-Waite Five of Pentacle cards shows two poor people walking barefoot, I believe, on snow outside of a church in great need. So it can be that kind of material need, but it can be also an inner need, an inner conflict. And the Seven of Pentacles here, she's in a much better place. Perhaps this is a representation of where we would feel more comfortable, obviously. Where we can actually reap. Yeah? I'm not sure if we are already reaping this. I tend to think here, or feel rather, that it has more to do with the emotional realm. Being that the King of Cups came out here now. And the King is one who has mastered all experiences, who has gathered, learned many skills. Yeah, talk about reaping. Talk about taking inventory. Right? He has been here already. He has taken inventory of his life. He has reaped fruits. Perhaps because he took the the leap of faith, the plunge. He took it into his hands. There's a key here. He took it into his hands to cut through the bullshit. Because, this is kind of conflicting here to see the Three of Cups and the Five of Coins, because the Three of Cups is gathering, heartfelt gathering. And the Five of Coins usually is depicted by people left outside the door. So perhaps we are talking about a great feeling of loneliness, maybe, where one can be surrounded and be lonely and feel lonely while surrounded by people. We do have the Four of Cups here at the bottom of the deck that talks about discontentment. I think it talks about a lot of things, but I think here, okay, we don't see that, do we? I think here it does talk about, this card does show discontentment, I think, because it's sunny all around, but, she's sitting in the shade. Or now that I see it in a different light, pun intended, maybe she's choosing to sit in the shade. So maybe there are things that she herself, or he himself, is keeping herself out of, not including herself in. I'm not sure yet. We'll see if it's to her detriment or not. Because the King of Cups, generally I see most kings very empowered, representations, because they have mastered the learning from their experiences, to such an extent that now they can even lead others, show others the way, and help even organize the possibilities for that. But the King of Cups, though, because, he's not the King of Wands, obviously, who takes charge and starts things, or the King of Earth, who is grounded and has built, perhaps, his own empire. Or even the King of Air, who is decided and strategic. Like the water sign, the King of Cups has a more gentle side to him, a more emotional side to him, a softer side to him, and because of this, he is sometimes famous or sometimes infamous for not exercising his greatest quality, which is to show his vulnerability, I think. To be able to show his vulnerability. Because it's a lot. It can be a lot. It takes a lot of courage. Although he is very protective of those who he loves, because he does love very deeply. But it is scary sometimes. It's not always that he can step out and open the water gates and let the waters flow freely, because they do run very deeply for him, very deep for him. And because, you know, all of our depth are like deep, dark waters of the subconscious as well. And water also represents emotions, and but also spirituality and cleansing. So it's this really vast element, like the ocean. I mean, how much can we fathom what goes on in it, under it, in it, around it, above it, because of it. Yeah, here we have the different levels of the ocean. It's almost like he barely has his, you know, how we talk about barely having our head outside holding our head outside the water. We can see him depicted like that, or we can also see him very empowered, hey, very nonchalantly having one hand in his pocket and with the other, you know, being the authority that's holding the ship up within his element. So I'm giving this much importance to the King of Cups because what I am feeling is the conflict that we're talking about of the Five of Pentacles, I think, is talking very much about, Four of Cups, King of Cups, Three of Cups, very much so about the emotional realm. And while there's a side to the Gemini that, you know, hey, stands on that alligator or stands on the cliff and is very outgoing and ready, and also takes the initiative of observing, of speaking, of focusing, of deciding, of cutting through bullshit. Well, actually, you know, I might take that back, because the other side of the Gemini can be a great bullshitter too. I know a few that can bullshit just for the sake of talking. Okay, so let's see here. I don't know how that's linked. Yeah, that's my belly. I allowed myself to go off my diet today. Let's take a look. I'm not going to take those, but because I wasn't focused. King of Pentacles and the Emperor. Wow, some powerful guys here. So great empowerment, celebration. Let's see if we're talking about, my feeling is that we're talking about a disconnect between the ability to be connected verbally, intellectually, and perhaps not knowing exactly how to connect more fully with the heart of others. Or maybe it's the other way around, maybe being misunderstood and kind of lonely in that way. I don't know if I'm off or if I'm tracked, to be honest, but we'll find out. So here we have the Page of Swords, who is very much interested in dialogue and people and finding out and including others. Come on in, here, sit here, have a seat. Where are you from? What do you do? And the Nine of Wands feels a little bit tired and beaten up. So there's another contrast here. There's a contrast of learning, finding out information. And the contrast of, you know what, I've had my share. I need to save some energy here for being able to feel this way again. But the torch is here, it's lit. So I will definitely, as a good Gemini, wake up tomorrow. And as I said in the beginning of the reading, be grateful. And find joy in that. Let me take a look here at something. I'm really stuck. Not really, but somewhat stuck on this King of Cups. So some of the keywords would be devotion, loyalty, faithfulness, wisdom, generosity. Which are, some words are very much associated with the sun's energy. The sun talks about generosity. The sun talks about creativity, joy. I mean, the fool must feel joyful. If he's willing to stand on that cliff or that alligator gate and reap a flower from around all these flowers and hold a bird on the other hand, there must be joy in that, because there's joy in presence. And the Page of Swords, has all these light bulbs going on, all these ideas, and some birdies flying around him too. He has a book. He's also walking on some type of tightrope. Maybe it's not a tightrope, but he's on a balancing act there too. I just realized. Between two cliffs in the air. There must be joy in that, and thrill, and presence. And certainly balance, right? So yeah, I wonder if there's some type of, these are beautiful cards. Beautiful cards, actually. But I do wonder if there is some kind of balancing out that is taking place. Because the Sun talks about satisfaction, and the Four of Cups can talk about insatisfaction. It does talk also about joy, vitality, luck. One of the most grateful signs that I've met are the Geminis. And perhaps it is because they are twins to perhaps the light and the dark. Perhaps it is because they embody those two sides. And maybe it's more of a constant for them to see those clearly. The light, the shadow, the sun, the shadow. Maybe it's more of a constant for them to see that clearly. And maybe it is a balancing act for them, more than we realize. It's interesting how in most of my readings I say I, you, we. I hardly ever say them. This is how much I detach myself from the world of the Gemini. But I've always been fascinated by Geminis because it must be a very interesting world. As this king here, the way I was talking about him, also depicts that dark and light, that depth, and being outside of the deep waters. Both are going on at the same time. And perhaps this is the strength, the satisfaction, the accomplishment of the Gemini, to be just that, to balance. I hope this is helpful, Geminis. Thank you. Merry Christmas again. And let's close with the Serenity Prayer. God, universe, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.